Greetings dear friends, Dragon here once again. It is almost the end of May, so time for our last of the new arrivals video for this month. Do please subscribe to the channel if you like what I do. A few little bits and pieces in this little selection. Some new stuff, some second-hand stuff, some books, some random stuff. But stay tuned and let us get into it all. Okay, so first up comes courtesy of the wonderful Head Hole, based out of Hong Kong, and is a book, a fairly new released book, and this is a look at the work of the incredible director Lau Kar-leung, easily my favourite Hong Kong director and certainly my favourite Shaw Brothers director. This is, I hasten to add, entirely in Chinese. It's Chinese language only. There is no English version of this book available to my knowledge at the moment. This is essentially mostly a study of his work, so looking at each film individually in his filmography, with a mixture of some behind the scenes shots, a lot of promotional stills and kind of newspaper adverts thrown in for good measure, along with kind of like relating back to some of the traditional kind of Chinese stories that he had used. I can only understand a tiny little bit of this, maybe about 5%, so I'm having to really get my wife to help me out with reading most of it out. If you are kind of looking for a good Shaw Brothers related book, I would kind of much more recommend that you track down the Chan Shai Memoirs, which is in English. There's English and Chinese versions of this book. Very hard to get a hold of now. I was able to kind of get a few different copies, so I still have actually a couple of spares. So if anybody is looking for a copy of the book, then do feel free to please message me. I'll leave my email down in the comments below, because I have a couple of these for sale. Yeah, I'm excited to get this one and looking forward to kind of understanding it more and more as my understanding of written Chinese increases over the years to come. But yeah, pretty stoked. Next up comes courtesy of Plain Archive in Korea. And this is a TV series. Pretty wonderful. Quite bizarre. Oh, I can get it out of the packaging. So this is the box set of the TV series Cursed. All 12 episodes. I think this is available on Netflix. I don't have Netflix, but a couple of people I've spoken to about this have reliably told me that it is on Netflix, but I'll do a proper unboxing for this because it looks like a really nice set overall. I'm kind of steadily getting more and more into Plain Archive releases. Beautifully put together. Always really nice packaging, kind of really nice cover design. This one is no exception. Pretty damn cool. Next up, I think, is a couple of second-hand purchases. A few bits and pieces in this same box. First up, we have another Plain Archive. This is a bit of a blind buy. This is Frank, starring Michael Fassbender, kind of loosely based on Frank Sidebottom, though I think it's kind of really more of a kind of fictional story based around some real events, kind of co-written by John Ronson. I'm a big fan of John Ronson's work, and this is a John Ronson commentary, which is kind of the main reason why I wanted to dive in and grab this version. John Ronson, really great writer, and was in a band at one stage with the real life Frank Sidebottom. Who's a pretty bizarre figure from my youth, who I remember kind of intermittently being on TV. So I've heard pretty good things about the film. Looking forward to checking it out. And again, really pretty stoked to kind of find the Plain Archive version of it. This was a second-hand purchase, but really cheap, because I don't think it's a movie that many people were too fussed about, but I was pretty stoked to get it. Another second-hand one, and again, another Korean release. This time round is one of my favourite science fiction movies from the last few years. And this is the KimchiDVD version of Life, starring Ryan Reynolds, Haruki Sanada, to Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson. And this is the steelbook. Little sticker there is the kimchi sticker. So although it has kind of been opened, the steelbook itself is still sealed. And yeah, easily was way more into this than I was the kind of more recent Alien movies, so Prometheus and Covenant I found were a bit disappointing overall, but this I thought was really pretty good. I thought it kind of explores a lot of the same kind of subject matter, kind of like that slightly almost haunted house on a spaceship type vibe, but encountering a new life form and it being pretty hostile. But yeah, really nice little addition. This kind of really glossily embossed little slipcase, pretty damn cool. And again, another second-hand purchase. This kind of came through eBay. Next up is a brand new release, and this is Criterion in the UK. This is Juzo Itami's The Funeral. Huge fan of Juzo Itami's Tampopo. I did a full review of that on the channel already, but Juzo Itami, kind of easily one of my favourite Japanese directors. Had a tragically short career, but really immensely great filmography. So all of his films that I've seen so far have been absolutely fantastic. Tampopo, easily one of my favourite films that I've seen in the last decade. And this I'm very much looking forward to checking out, one that I've not actually seen. But yeah, the more of his movies that I see, the more I fall in love with his work. Really stoked this came out as a UK release as well as just US, so I didn't have to import it, so it was an awful lot cheaper. So yeah, this is just in from Amazon. Next one up is a couple of random second hands. First one is just filling the gaps. This is the Nova Media version of The Killer. I already have the Hong Kong Rescue version, but kind of was curious to see how this would compare, and it was really cheap. Somebody was selling this second hand on eBay, presumably because they have also picked up the Hong Kong Rescue version, I suspect. I'm not too sure what the quality of the transfer will be like. If it's anything like the Better Tomorrow one, then it's probably not going to be that great quality, but I figured it was quite a nice little slip. Kind of like, again, this kind of glossy embossing over the top of the case for Danny Lee and Chow Yun-fat in the front and the back. And can't go wrong with another copy of The Killer to add to the many other copies of The Killer that I already have. And this one I was pretty excited to track down. This is the German Koch Media release of a film that was very beloved from my childhood. This is Hardware, aka Mark 13, in this pretty crazy box. I think an English friendly release, so obviously it's an English movie, but pretty crazy, kind of very low budget, but good fun. Again, I'll do a proper full unboxing for this in due course. Next one up is some strawberry Kit Kats, including this because these kind of are one of my all-time grails for life. Anytime that I see them, I buy them. Really hard to track down over here. Japanese flavoured Kit Kats are incredible, and I've recently been using the Japan Centre in London really to kind of stock up on some unusual sakis. So it's like a yuzu sake and some little kind of random cheap sake bottle that we tried at the same time to bump our order. And so yeah, when I spotted that they had these chucked all over it. It's not a Blu-ray, but to me, every bit is special. Fucking love these. Next one up is two from the recent Fopp third window sale. I already had Top Knot Detective, but I didn't have it with a slipcase, so I got this version, got rid of my other version which did not have a slipcase, because I'm a moron that way, and then also got a copy of One Cut of the Dead finally, which I've heard nothing but good things about, but I hadn't had a chance to track down. So that's kind of two in the third window sale. This is Fopp. I don't think HMV were doing the sale as well. I'm not even too sure if it's still running, but if you're close to Fopp, then do check. There may be some deals still to be had on third window titles. And a random one, because I had some CEX vouchers left over. I know that Eureka have just announced this glorious 4K version of Police Story 1 and 2, which is kind of coming in September, but as a result, loads of people are going to be dumping off these kind of original kind of Blu-ray box sets. And this is one that I had never got a chance to get. I have the Criterion version, but slightly different extras on this, and a kind of actually a Eureka release that I really like the artwork for, which is not something that I can often say, but kind of pretty stoked to kind of find this incredibly cheap at CEX. And I still had like a 25 quid voucher for CEX, so I kind of got this for 22, but I've seen it for a lot more, so it's kind of nice having the different artwork for it. Still had its booklets intact, which is pretty cool. And again, you can never have too many copies of Police Story 1 and 2. Next up is Censor, and this is a second sight release. This is getting a little bit harder to track down yet. Another blind buy for me. Again, I've heard good things about this, and given that I lived through Thatcher's era of the kind of video nasty age in the UK, which is largely what this film is kind of centred around, I was curious to check it out. Don't know if I'm going to end up keeping a hold of it, because I've heard mixed reports, but I managed to kind of find this pretty cheaply in Fopp through in Glasgow, so jumped all over it, because I think these tend to hold their value, so even if I end up selling it on, I'm just excited to kind of give it a watch through first. Guys, that is pretty much it. Do please go over and check out my 1000 subs Q&A competition launch for these. Some glorious prints from Kung Fu Bob that live inside this tube. You can find the link down to that below, but jump on over, leave a question to submit and enter into the competition and see if you'll be one of the lucky ones that wins one of Bob's prints. You can see exactly which prints on the competition launch video, but that is it for today. Thank you very, very much for watching. Let me know what you've all been getting this month, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Cheers.